What's up, YouTube? It's Mr. Ferguson here once again. Thank you guys for coming back for another video here in Central North Carolina. We keep growing. I can't believe this weather that we're having. Many of you commented on the last video we put out here in North Carolina this week. Yesterday we were in the 60s. Today we're going to be in the 70s. Tomorrow in the 70s. The next day in the 70s. Going into January 2022. And it's just unbelievable. It's like, you know, the grass is like, is it spring? Like, should we be getting up? Now, my wife mentioned it's an El Nino year, so that may have something to do with it. Typically, when we get that type of air mass coming in or whatever, I don't know the specifics, it is a warmer type of winter. So it is just phenomenal how I'm out here in shorts and a t-shirt, my GCI shirt, in the middle or the end of December. As I mentioned on the last video, we put down some flagship. I had about half a bag, about 25 pounds worth of flagship that I already had opened. So since it was already opened, I went ahead and applied it after my last mow. And I did put a little bit of water down because we've not had a lot of rain. We've watered in a little bit of the flagship. So the Scott's Winter Guard is slowly begin to fade. That urea nitrogen is beginning to fade out, I've noticed. And so we've got some flagship in there. Remember, it's slow release, 50% of it. So we'll see if it does anything over the course of the next few months. With this weather, though, wanted to make another video talking about weeds because me and Mr. Kevin and my wife was talking in the driveway and saw some things. So we'll get into that in a little bit. Just a few admin notes. Again, if you're new to the Mr. Ferguson channel, I know this is the quote off season for cool season turf. I'm not a professional. I'm a DIYer. I'm just a guy that wants to have a nice lawn. So just know that if it's the first time you've ever tuned into my channel, I do things in the lawn. I share it with you guys on the video, and so far we've been pretty successful in everything we've done. Most things we've done here in my lawn in North Carolina, we've been successful, man. So if I can do it, you guys can do it, and that's what we share here on the channel. Subscribe if you're interested in lawn care content. We don't get too much into the science, into the details of every single aspect of fertilizer and the grass and all that. We kind of keep it at a basic level, so we don't want to scare people off, but we're more of welcoming people into lawn care. So subscribe if you're interested in lawn care. The other thing I wanted to mention is that I always put at the end of my description of my videos that I'm always on social media, and I'm on Twitter, I'm on Instagram. Most people find me on Instagram. I've went ahead and I've just deactivated my Facebook for personal reasons. I don't use it. I don't like it. I've kind of been, you know, I took the app off my phone with all the politics stuff that's happened in the last, it eases my mind, and I've just deleted Facebook off my phone. Well, I've went ahead and just deactivated the account. Now, when I did that this past, Christmas, I noticed I was going to share a video on the Mr. Ferguson page on Facebook and see if I could just manage that, and it went ahead and it just killed my Mr. Ferguson Facebook page. So know that that is gone. It wasn't on purpose, but it's gone. I'm not going to redo it. I'm not going to rebuild one. So I'm no longer on Facebook, but you can find me on Twitter. You can find me on Instagram at Mr. Ferguson Lawn if you're interested. Sometimes I'll post videos, short videos of the lawn, pictures of the lawn, family stuff. So just know that I wanted to make note of that. So with all of that said, without further ado, we got everybody subscribed. We got everybody, knows that I'm not on Facebook anymore, and we're out here in 70-degree weather in December. We've talked about weeds. Now, just real quick before we go and show you the weeds, I do have some weeds in the lawn, and we've talked about it several times on my channel here in the past. The best defense against weeds popping up in your yard, of course, pre-emergent, which is coming in early spring, so we can prevent our crabgrass. We're not able to do prediamine or pre-emergent in the fall because we're planting new seed. With a fescue lawn, we've got to plant seed each and every season. Unless you don't want to plant seed, then you could apply a pre-emergent to stop poa-annua or any type of cool season weeds coming up in your lawn during the winter and early spring. So we've chosen not to do that. We plant, so for the past 3 years, I've planted fescue seed. That's what we've done again this year. So no pre-emergent is down yet. We'll do that in a couple months, but we do have some spot weeds popping up. So just want to show you what that looks like, and then we'll talk about how we're going to knock them out real quick on this video. Thank you for tuning in. Now let's get to it. So quickly, just starting right here off the back porch, you'll notice that the rocks we did last spring or last summer, we do have some grass that's popped up against the house. We've got some little little annoying weeds right here along the edge. You can see them. They're just little clover type stuff. These are so simple. You can just basically pull these up, and they're just little, you know, little weeds that have popped up in the rocks. Along the side of the house here, you can kind of see we're getting some weeds popping up behind our AC unit, which is not a big concern, but it's pretty much the same thing. And a little bit of creeping Charlie over there, right in front of that tree. You can kind of see some creeping Charlie creeping in a little bit. Some of these bare spots, we have a little bit of weeds trying to pop up here and there. There we go, we got the flops on now, so we're good to go. But moving over into the front, in the front yard, there's not a ton everywhere around here. We do get weeds all the time right here along the brick, as you can kind of see down. There's just some grass seed that's germinated, some grass that's germinated here, some more clovers that's popped up. So when I talk about weeds, this is mainly areas where I see weeds, but I am seeing some weeds in the lawn. So let's travel up here, because this is where me and Mr. Kevin were talking the other day. And as you notice, as I come up here, if I look right here, you can see all the areas where you have the same color fescue grass, and then you see all these light color areas. They're lighter, brighter green, and you could even see it along the edge right there. That's what I started looking at closely yesterday. And if you get down in here, you guys can see there's some more creeping Charlie type weeds there. And if you get really close in somewhere over here, you can see some more of the creeping Charlie, just some junk. And remember, this was all bare when we planted back in the fall, so it's just the nature covering the ground, and you see all the little different types of weeds we've got coming up right here. Some more of that little clover stuff, more of the big fat broadleaf down here. So we're gonna just mix up some speed zone, and it will just, is it really necessary? Am I concerned like, oh my gosh, I got weeds in my yard? No, to be honest with you, it's just something to make a video after. So since I just happened to get some speed zone for Christmas, we will mix up a little bit and knock them out. Dun, dun, dun. Do y'all know what this guy is? Oh yeah, you already know. Mr. Poa has already made his appearance here in December in my lawn. If you don't know anything about Poa annua, research it, look it up. It is a devil grass. And speaking of which, well, that's why I pointed out what I did down here in the ditch. You can already see, now I can tell you already, yesterday there was probably about 4 of those little seed heads right there in the ditch. Now there appears to be even more as it grows with a little weed right here beside it. So all of that light green looking plant is of course Poa annua. So again, if we had put down pre-emergent in the fall, we may have been able to prevent the Poa from coming up, but here we go. The Poa is popping up even in warm conditions and the temperatures we've had. Likely this is all Poa annua. If you get in here, boom, there you go. See that seed head? Those seed heads, if you're not aware, can get into your dirt. They can sit there for 2 to 3 years, do nothing, and then one random season just pop up and you've got Poa annua. So what that means is in the next several weeks, we'll likely have the seed heads of Poa annua popping up, which I hate, I loathe. Likely some of this over here, you see where it's light green on the edge of the sidewalk there, that's likely some Poa annua. So as you go out in your lawn and you look down closely, you should probably likely be able to see seed heads of Poa annua coming up. Is there a magic chemical, Mr. Ferguson, that I can spray to get rid of all that Poa annua? No. And the reason why I say that, if you go and watch some of the Pete from GCI Turf's videos, he takes a knife, he cuts that dirt all the way around the plant, he pulls that Poa annua up, he puts it in a trash bag, he grinds up that ground a little bit with the garden weasel, sprinkles some of the GCI Turf seed on it, and then walks away. Maybe some topsoil on top, maybe some peat moss, but that's about it. So that is why it's like, if you want to get out there on your hands and your knees and kind of cut up Poa annua, go for it. I'm not going to get that detailed. I'm going to let it do its thing, but as it grows taller, we don't want to spread the Poa. You know, we don't want to sit here and mow again and blow it all over our yard and spread Poa, because those seed heads will blow all over and get into our soil. So we do want to be mindful of that if we are cutting. And as I look at my lawn, as I squat down here, you can see some of the top growth. I don't know if you guys can see it, but even like right here in front of us, some of the grass has already begun to grow since my last mow 4 days ago. We will likely have to mow again, and we'll probably bag it, because now if we're getting seed heads starting to pop up, I don't want to blow it all over the lawn. I would rather bag it and maybe have a chance of throwing it in the woods rather than spread it all over the lawn. But there you go. And even as we sit right here, there's a little Creeping Charlie, I think that's what that is. Creeping Charlie right here in front of me. Just little weeds, that cool season weeds that have popped up. So we'll just mix up some Speed Zone in the backyard. We'll throw it, maybe a gallon of it in there, spot spray. Let's go in the backyard. Let's get our Speed Zone and let's mix up something to knock out these little boogers. I believe my parents got me some more Speed Zone just as something to give to me. Now, you want to always apply your herbicides over 50-degree weather, I was reading, and you want weeds to be actively growing, and we've got cool season weeds popping up now, so we're good to go there. And as you see, if you don't know about Speed Zone, I love it. I got the recommendation from watching Pete, and the reason why is if you look at the active ingredient of 2,4-D, it is 28.57%. And man, that is way higher. If you go to Lowe's, if you get some of these chemicals off the shelf and pay $10, $12, the active ingredient of 2,4-D in them is like 4% or 5%. Very, very minuscule compared to Speed Zone. Speed Zone will knock it out. So it is a concentrate. And of course on the back, amount to use right here on the back, very simple, 1.1 to 1.5 fluid ounces per 1,000. This container will treat 13,300 to 18,200 square foot, and refer to complete instructions, and then you got some questions on the back. So there you go. So I mean, you're likely going to kill any of the weeds that I've shown you. I have you can see on the cover, there's some clover right there. We're going to be able to take it out with Speed Zone. If your temperatures are below 50 degrees, you probably don't want to do it. You're probably just wasting your product. Some like to use a surfactant. Of course, you don't want to water in herbicide. Let it sit on the plant, let it absorb it, and it will kill it. So what we're going to do is, I haven't used the backpack spray in a while. I'm going to mix this up for the sake of time. We'll throw in exactly what it says, probably the minuscule amount of 1.1 ounces will be fine, about an ounce. We'll throw an ounce in and about a gallon, a gallon of water, gallon of mix, and we'll walk around and just spot spray some of these real fast. When we talk about spot spray, as I hit these as we talk, and this is probably not the proper nozzle, it's expanding more than I need it to, but it'll do the job. As you can see right there how much it's expanding. But we'll knock out some of these little clovers right here. We're not going to drown them or anything like that. But when we talk about spot spray, you can kind of see what I'm doing here. We're walking around, oh look, weeds, and we're spot spraying based off what we see. The other term you may hear some of these pros, and correct me if I'm wrong in the comments, guys, but I'm pretty sure I'm right, is you got blanket spray and spot spray. Blanket spray is kind of like when we're applying RGS. We're going to go up and down, side to side, spraying all over, and we're going to hit everything in our lawn with whatever is in our tank. Here, we don't want to spread herbicide everywhere if there's not weeds. So we're just kind of hitting it where we see weeds popping up, if we want to knock them out, if they're a nuisance, if they're obvious. I'm not too concerned about any of these. It's something we can make a video on and talk about, and hey, we can knock them out and make it look a little bit better. Now, obviously, some of this grass stuff, like down here, that you guys can see, it's not going to kill that. It's only going to take care of the broadleaf weeds or the clovers, things like this right here. You can see this bad boy down in here. He's been there for a while. So we'll take him out. Some of this against the pavement, the brick right here, as well as, I missed one back there, this guy right here. Some of this, we'll just spot spray, so I'll set you up as I finish off on the bank, and we want to be careful here not to kill any of Miss Ferguson's plants. But yeah, you get the general idea. Like these guys, they're always fun to spray right there. So you get the general idea of spot spray versus blanket spray. So that's pretty much it. We walked around, had plenty of mixed for a gallon of what I saw, hit everything, some things even twice, hit some of the onions I saw. Another thing I thought about as I was spraying is it depends on what kind of seed you put down of how much weeds you may or may not be seeing in your lawn. We've talked about on the channel what grass seed we pick, doesn't matter. Some of the more expensive seed like GCI turf, if you look at it, there are 0 weed seed inside of that bag of grass seed, guaranteed. And the majority of my yard, I see no weeds. Every now and then, mainly to be honest with you, because that's why I wanted to mention it, up towards the bank, I saw a lot of onions right there, and I saw some on the edge of the road, some of the creeping Charlie and clover type weeds, and that's where I used the Jonathan Green. And if you recall, if you look up the label of Jonathan Green seed, there is a small percentage of weed seed inside of Jonathan Green seed. So if you did your whole lawn with Jonathan Green, you may or may not see more weeds in your lawn than I do. Here I got to clean out my old sprayer, need to charge my backpack. So far so good on the Strom sprayer. For all of you that's been sticking around, we had troubles in the fall in September when we planted, and we was going to spray our starter fert and our RGS, and our backpack sprayer wouldn't work. Strom sent me a new battery. So far, no problems whatsoever. I think I've used it 2 or 3 times since then, and it's worked flawlessly. So hats off to Strom. Thank you so much for that battery. It's doing well. And to all of you, hope you're doing well. Subscribe if you're not, if you would consider doing so. Thank you so much. Support the channel. God bless you guys. Hope you have a great new year. We'll see you on the next video.